Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer. Welcome back to Vicky 3. This is episode 27. We are still with Japan, and we are approaching the 20th century. And the balance is not good right now. We've turned some things up recently to really kind of push us into kind of the next stage of where we're at with this economy. As you know, for the most part, we are booming, but there are some complications that we are trying to deal with in the short term. One of those is absolutely our military, and that's going to be a huge focus of the final 40 years of this playthrough. As well, we want to gain recognition, we want to force recognition, and we think our target is East India Company because they are no longer connected to the United Kingdom in any way, shape, or form, and have no allies. They have rivals. So I'm thinking of trying to gain a friendship here, there, or somewhere, to have someone on our side for an upcoming war with the East India Company. Great Qing would be fantastic for that, but they are isolationist, and I just don't think that that we're ever going to get an alliance, with someone like a Great Qing. But if we can find a relatively powerful ally, I like our chances. Now, another possibility for us to take on East India Company is we could invest in the Navy, which was something I was looking at, last time, and starting to. I mean, our Navy is currently growing, but it is still quite small right now. We can invest in the Navy, or we can invest in the Army. Investing in both without a massive increase to our economy is going to be tough. And with only 40 years, I don't see us quite matching, how things went realistically for Japan. I'm wondering if there's a ticket, if there's a path, if there's a way. That's France. We don't want that, but maybe something like Kutch is, well, it's in the British market and it's a puppet of Britain, so you got to stay away from one like that. But maybe a Burma? No, they're also a puppet of Great Britain. I'm thinking of getting someone like Sind. Could be. They have a defensive pact with Kalat and Makran and Persia. Persia is a little more worrying on that one. But maybe there's a path into a land battle with East India Company through a neighbor. That's what I'm thinking of right now. But let's go ahead and continue on with playthrough. Short-term economy needs attention. One of our long-term goals has actually been achieved. We got the Central Archives journal entry done. And we're going to have plus 5% bureaucracy, which actually puts us up over 1,000 now. So bureaucracy is rather high. Demand for paper, though, went up significantly to finish that project, and that's a little problematic. We are still slow on our development, but we are halfway through our project for malaria prevention, which will finally make that go away and speed all of that up. Right now we are working on a lot of railroad expansions, actually across this whole area, which is also going to hopefully unlock at least 1 to 2 more industries that we can switch to using that rail transport. Yeah, right now the demand is only slightly above the cost, so transportation. But with all of these new railroads coming into play quite soon, though they are going to come at an expense up front, like I said, we'll be able to turn at least one industry up. Right now we got to be careful because the US is expanding fast, France is expanding fast, Portugal, 3 nations around us are all expanding into Inner Africa. So if we are going to continue to grow and colonize this area throughout the playthrough, we're going to have to definitely get on a more competitive state. In fact, they're making a play against Congo right now, the US. Time for a quick check-in on what is incorporated, what isn't, what states we have in our African region. So starting with Japanese Kenya here on top, it is fully incorporated. Small, I mean, infrastructure wise we're only using 5, but it's there, it's present. A port is being built right now. Zanzibar is the largest. It's only a 2, but we've got multiple buildings on the way. We've got quite a bit that's being built, hoping to get that one up to 5, as that is one of our targets right now for urbanizing the shogunate. Lindy is incorporated. We are incorporated here as well. So all 4 of these are fully incorporated now. Kazembe is incorporated. And this one is not, but I believe we are still part of this state. Colony still growing. So this area here is the remainder of this state that we still have to colonize. We've only just started here, so it's definitely not incorporated yet. And then we also have this state that we've been working on for a little while now. Not too big, but the next area is done. So we have 5 fully incorporated states, and those are the 5 that are done. So there's nothing actively going through incorporation right now. But those 5 additional states, and none of them being at a level 5, has made the urbanization of the Japanese shogunate a little tougher to accomplish. So it's been good for access to resources. It's been bad for a goal like that, but that's one event. One event is all. All right, we finally have that positive balance when it comes to transportation. So I'm going to pick one industry that it is that we'd like to turn up. Just for comparison, so you know where we're at. What we have right now is really very little. The coal mines are actively in the transportation network. Iron mines are not, and that's probably a top candidate for us. Lead mines also still need it. Sulfur and gold mines are the only other ones that have transportation turned on by using the rail network. The rest of them are still being done elsewhere. Now, tobacco could be a good one, as it's quite profitable. Dye is one that's a big need, but I do think that we're probably it would be smart to switch here. Looks like we would 150 transportation. Actually, that's not bad. Let's go ahead and take that one. Okay, after those last 2 rail networks were done, we still have room for about 250 more. So we're going to turn up some additional industries. Lead uses 60 of it. We'll save 200. Dye's going to use 70. 130. Coffee, that leads us to just under 100. What about tobacco? It's a bit too much. Cotton, I think we'll leave off there for now. Quite a few of the economy construction things we've done of late have added expenses and not necessarily boosted the economy. So we've actually seen our balance get worse by about 6,000. Plus, we just made all of those changes, which were more or less neutral thing. We have a good investment pool, but our gold reserves are down to just 800,000, and with that current balance, it's not going to last terribly long. So we are going to have to keep an eye on that. But we have a few pretty major shortages in the market right now, and the queue has gotten much smaller. So we're going to start to address some of those here in the next little bit. Glass is massively overpriced. Tools are massively overpriced right now. Iron. Hardwood is a serious shortage in them. And wood does not have that major of a cost. So I think I'm going to have to take some of the wood buildings and switch them to production of hardwood. Part of the sector anyway. Hokkaido has just 2. That would be an easy one to switch. Let's get something, a little bit bigger. We'll take 6 of them. Focus on hardwood production. So we'll have 120 less wood, but our hardwood is going to increase by 60 as a result. I think we can do maybe even a little bit more than that, like the 2 in Hokkaido. 40 less, 20 more. Looking at price markup and where we can, maybe make some gains by helping the industry a little bit. Lead, even though we made improvements, still, it's not a shortage anymore, but it's still massively overpriced. So I think lead is a very easy one to fix with a bit more production there. We can really bring that cost down. And glass, though, we produce a lot, we demand a lot. So fixing that will not provide a rapid fix. Same with iron. Same with tools. There's so much out there that it's hard to kind of really fix that in a short period of time. Dye, though, is another one that could be fixed relatively easy. So lead and dye are going to be the next target of quick fixes to help with some expenses. And we've hit 90 million in our GDP, so this is growing really rapidly. I mean, I was 83 million 4 years ago, so it's gone up by 7 million since the start of the playthrough. But the gold reserves are thinning. They're thinning very much so. Italy wants a trade agreement. That's one nation I have not looked at to see about making friends. As you know, like I said, I could really use a strong ally. With some recent upgrades, we have better authority than we've had in a while, and we do have some spare. I had to turn off some consumption taxes a long time ago to help with our balance. We're going to turn luxury furniture back on. By the way, we're not doing anything right now to, it's all neutral. But with a slightly better balance, that gold reserves will hold out a little bit longer. I don't want to turn construction down. I'm really hoping to fix the economy and keep it on high. But I've committed to a lot of spendy projects of late. I've turned up a couple more industries, found some areas where we could make some gains economically, and we have a positive balance, actually a quite healthy positive balance. It yo-yos a little bit between 7 and 11,000, but that's a big improvement from where we were, especially because it is positive. We'll hope we can hang on to it, because for the moment, as it trickles down, the immediate yay has turned into, not so much. It's back down to fairly neutral. Ooh, I like the idea of an ally, but that's not the ally. That is not the ally we need. Okay, demand for dye is up again in one of those areas that I finally got that malaria prevention. That's going to really, really help with the expansion of the colonies we have, because severe malaria is the inter-Africa major threat. That's going to remove all effect. Price of tools has gone down by 14. Yeah, and we see our balance flip in a positive direction. I had a lot more tools being made, and we are back to a positive balance finally. Portugal facing an uprising, and we should see our colonies now working, now just 50 days to colonize. Not sure why this one's taken a while yet, but maybe it'll be the next one. After that one is complete, that will be sped up. Zimbabwe has gained independence from Portugal. Finally, the right moves in the right places, and that balance is looking so much better at 10,000. Those reserves that got really thin are going the right direction, but now it's already 1903, so it's taken us another 6-7 years to just get to a positive balance. And then in the near future, we got to start looking at, again, expanding the military. How do we get bigger? How do we get stronger? And why is this one still suffering from severe malaria? Because we don't have control of the state. Looks like this area and this area are part of that state. And even though my positive balance is only 8,000, I'm about to turn up another industry. And again, it's the barracks. It's the military. The military has to be that focus if we are going to grow, if we're going to change, if we're going to beat a major power, which of course we know who that target is. I don't know what their current strength is, but that's who we'll be keeping an eye on. Switching from cavalry scouts, which is actually what I was. I was in the U.S. Army as a 19 Delta cavalry scout. Modern version. We're not on horseback. Well, here is that first change to bicycle messenger. Cost is rubber and tools. Rubber, something we don't have right now. So that means I need to address rubber if we're going to turn that up. But what it's going to give us is +5 offense, plus 20% to provinces captured, and an overall +112 to our army power projection. We absolutely want that, but that means we need rubber. And I have done the necessary tech to have rubber, and we have found quite a bit in Africa. No surprise on that part, but here we are. So what do we have for? We have Oriental, we have Kazembe, we have Ganyika, maybe Lindy can support one. So we'll get 4 of those on the go. And as soon as those are ready and constructed, which won't take long because our queue is quite small right now, we're going to be turning that up. Also, that balance is at 13,000. Gold reserves back up to 1.5 million. Rubber plantations aren't even up and running, but they will be in a moment. And with the balance being the way it is, let's go ahead and turn that up. Bicycle Messengers is coming online. It's also time to start thinking about other options, though. The Conscription Center. We have 196. I mean, we have a good amount here, but they have such a low evaluation because they're still very base level. Go to Line Infantry and turn that up. Of course, morale loss, but it makes them much, much stronger. What our projection would come up to, but we're going to turn those up anyway. Things are actively in that transition period, and we now have a power projection over 1,000. And that's going to get better as time goes on. By the way, we're growing so rapidly right now that I didn't even notice that we topped 100 million, and we're flying right on past that to 106 million. Standard of living, though, still has not reached a 10. I've been taking care of the people so much, doing just enough to keep them satisfied and keep us growing. But with a nice positive balance, we're already back up to 2.5 million in reserves, and things are definitely looking up. But I do have a few industries that are going to start kicking in to help boost the public a little bit as we approach East India Company. Hello, they are down to an army projection of 407. Their GDP is 100 million. How do they only have a 407? They are still considered a major power. Our prestige has nearly matched theirs. Their standard of living is very, very low. They have a huge population, but a very small GDP compared to that population. And, we have a population that rivals Austria and Italy and Spain, the US, Prussia. We have some people. It's not grown rapidly for quite some time, but it is in a state where it holds the rank of major power, but they are Great Britain and have very small prestige, very small GDP. Really surprised about that one. But if this is true about East India Company, we might be able to beat them now. I mean, our projection's 1,008, but we only have 10 flotillas. And right now we would have to do some sort of naval invasion, which would be quite challenging with such a small navy. We need to expand the navy. And my oh my, I think we are getting close to earning recognition, or at least having a go for it. Okay, we are finally, maybe it's because we have enough control over the state, 50% or something along those lines, but we are finally getting rapid expansion in not 1, not 2, but all 3 of our colonies. And you can see how much we have grown. But in this upper area, both France and the United States are kind of coming in towards something, but that apparently remains open. It kind of just colonized in there, but having another look through the government, there is still literally nothing that there is consensus on. There is nothing that we can progress in any way, shape, or form. We also have very low control in the government, and maybe we want to reform just for the sake of some legitimacy to cut down on radicals. It looks like Shogunate alone would give us an 84. Now, 1907. Not that far in the future, but checking back in on East India, just a power projection of 643, 644, yo-yoing back and forth there. They have forces, they have flotillas. I think that beating them would be terribly easy, especially with a Navy power projection of 1103. That is where we have a problem. Because even though we have a better army, now approaching 1100, the flotillas, power projections are way behind. So we need to upgrade the Navy if we are going to put up a fight against East India. We have just unlocked ironclads through others spreading that tech to us. Navy power projection goes plus 200 for that one. Offense, defense gets much stronger, but morale loss is higher with the ironclads from the Man of Wars. With roughly 30 years left in our playthrough, we are drawing closer to our goal of being able to get recognized and become a major power. Here's how we have achieved that over the course of this episode. It's only been about 10 years. Yet we've seen our GDP grow almost exponentially, as it's now at 109 million. You can see just how rapid that is taking off here of late, as that curve to that growth rate. Literacy still just hovering below 30%. Not great. Standard of living also just inching its way. It's lower than where we started the playthrough, which was 10.1, but it was down in the 8s, so it's almost back up to 10. It's almost back up to where it started, but I'm really not spending much time investing in the people. I'm focused so heavily on that military. Meanwhile, population has grown by 1 million of late, so it is growing more rapidly. I think part of that is we are not suffering from malaria in Africa anymore, so it's helping the population grow there. Radicals are rather high, have been for a long time, but they are coming down slightly. Reforming the government may have had something to do with that, but balance has gotten so much better. Excuse me. We've gone from a deficit, we've gone from almost running out of reserves to, okay, fine, we turned it around, we got positive, and now we've turned it up to a 17,000 positive balance. But also, and the big thing here, is we've managed to strengthen our military significantly with a plus about 300 to our power projection in this 10-year period. Enough so that a now weakened East India Company is weaker than us. Our military is stronger than their military. What is not is the Navy, though. With a power projection of 160 as we just turned up to ironclads, we are behind. We do have more on the way, and we are going to have to rapidly expand our Navy to compete with East India, because it looks like the military can handle them at this point. We are behind on battalions, but we are way behind on Navy. We've got almost 1,000 to do. They are number 6 in the world. But we're ahead in the military department. So we're going to continue to expand the military because we're not far ahead. And if we're going to invade, then we're going to invade. But that Navy's got to really come up. But with a positive balance and good things happening in the economy right now, I don't see why in another 10 years or so, maybe even just 5, we may be ready to engage in a war of recognition. And then the last update on this episode, of course, was now that we have malaria prevention, our colony in Africa has grown quite rapidly. We are also actively getting cut off, though. We're down to just this little pocket between us and France until they're fully cut off, except for, I suppose, there's that over there. Them and the U.S. and Great Britain. The U.S. lost this territory that they had, regained its independence, but I'm sure at some point they'll actively get after colonizing it once again. And they are now expanding southward through here. Portugal has not expanded. In fact, they've gotten smaller as Zimbabwe gained independence from them. But France is also now coming in to the south here. So it looks like this is the alternative they have picked up. So this area is going to get cut off soon. We continue to grow here. I may look into, once that pocket closes, see if there is a third one, if we can grow this way or if we can grow this way to continue to expand. But it's looking good. I mean, we have a decent chunk of Africa, and it has certainly given us a lot of resources that we would have otherwise not had. And ultimately, we are now poised, we're now well set to have a go. We'll see if we succeed or not, but have a go at gaining recognition. And East India, more and more, is looking like a pretty easy target for that. That's going to do it for this episode, though. I'm Decathlon Gamer. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Have a good one. Be safe out there. Bye for now.